All right, here we go. I missed last Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, because I had Zenzo in town. We crushed a lot of projects, super tired, but here we are today to have some fun and pulling stuff straight out of the chat. Someone said, I have a quick question. How does dechlorinator work? Seems like sorcery. It kind of is to a layman like me. I'll try to break it down real easy, but basically, chlorine and chloramine, depending on which one your municipality is working with, is a chemical that's like bleach, basically. So think of, most people have dealt with bleach in their homes before. Hey, that's pretty toxic. We use that to kill bacteria and do that kind of stuff. So just think of it in a very simple term. It's basically like bleach, right? And what dechlorinator does is the chemicals that go into bleach, they basically bond together and they go, hey, we're angry, we're bleach, we kill stuff, right? And then you add dechlorinator to it to take out the chlorine, dechlorinator. We just call it dechlor or dechlorinator, but it's really dechlorine or dechloramine, and we just call it dechlorinator. But you add that to the mean bleach, basically, the chlorine, and it goes, oh no, you've broken us up. We're stronger together, but now we're apart. And so you break up the chemicals in there. And with like chloramine, you end up with some ammonia and some other stuff. And, science nerds are going, the other stuff, it's this, and this. And I'm not that guy. And then your filter goes, hey, there's some ammonia in there. And so it'll start breaking it down because that's what your bacteria does. And then also most dechlorinators will have something in there that will, so we take the bad chlorine, the angry chlorine, we break it up. And then we basically have police officers, the dechlorinator, that jump on and bind it up. So it's like, hey, we're going to arrest this ammonia over here and keep it locked up for 24 hours until you cool off. And in that state, your aquarium can process it. And so while it's bound up, it's no longer toxic. So the dechlorinator makes it non-toxic. The aquarium digests it. And then after 24 hours, it's gone. And that's how we dechlorinate water and keep it safe for our fish. Now, that's why you can also use dechlorinator, most of them, to your aquarium to bind up ammonia. The problem is, if you have other sources of ammonia, you can lose that battle of like, hey, I don't have enough jail cells. I gotta keep putting lots of dechlorinator in, trying to bind it up. But I can't bind it all up, and it's hurting my fish. And so, in that case, it's like, hey, I've got 10 security guards or whatever, but we've got 20 people trying to get into the building. I can only hold up 10 of them. The other 10 are getting through and hurt my fish, right? So that's why we don't recommend our dechlorinator or really any dechlorinator. I don't think it's a good way to actually prevent ammonia from hurting your fish when you have like an uncycled aquarium or a different reason. When you're dechlorinating water, it works out really well. Recommended, yes. In that, just keep it going for 24 hours. Eventually, those security guards got to sleep, got to eat, and we're down to 6, and now you got even more attacking your fish, and your fish are getting beat down, and then they start getting sick, and then it's just this downhill cycle you don't want. So, changing water, physically removing that ammonia, even though when you water change back in, you bring some ammonia back, but think of it like a security guard loads up 6 people, drives them 100 miles away, drops them off, drives back, can grab 6 more, drives them 100 miles away. That's you doing water changes, removing that ammonia really far away. Yeah. So even though some might walk back, they're walking back much slower. And that's how dechlorinator works in the weirdest example that's ever been used. Let's see here. Still blows my mind how little of an amount we have to add to the water to fix it. Yeah, but also consider this. So a little bit of dechlorinator goes a long way, but also a little bit of bleach. If I put just a few drops of bleach into that aquarium, it'll kill them all. So kind of goes both ways. A little bit of chlorine goes a long way, a little bit of dechlorinator goes a long way. And so that's why it takes so little typically to battle that. Whereas something like calcium or other minerals takes a ton to do what we need to do. We just don't need much. So How can I treat Culminaris, which is usually mouth fungus or body fungus? The way I do it is one of two ways. Either I use salt. So if you have no aquarium plants or you have a quarantine tank, move the fish, salt at 1 tablespoon per 2 gallons roughly. You can go all the way up to 1 to 1. And let that sit for like a month, and that'll cure it usually. Or if you're like, oh, I've only got 1 tank, I've got plants, I can't do that method, then I use Maricin, which is an antibiotic, and I use Icex, which is a antifungal. It's also anti-parasite. So you take care of the fluffy fungus part, and that leaves behind, again, it's kind of a 2-part thing, fungus part, and then underneath it, you don't know it yet, so here's the fungus covering everything on the fish. You kill that fungus, it comes off, and you're left with, oh, bacterial infection. Hello, Mr. Bacterial Infection. And that's why you have the Maricin to go, hey, let's kill that. And then you've just got the wound that can heal up naturally then. So that's the goal, and that can take a week or so. I usually use 1 dose and see kind of how it goes over a week. In real bad cases, like you were gone out of town for a few weeks and it got really, really bad, you might be changing water and doing that every day. But I find it pretty early, and kind of checking on water parameters and then using that treatment gets me, pretty far. So, let's see here. New items, by the way, or new stuff you should buy that I haven't had a chance to officially reveal. We now have the Easy Shrimp and Snail Shells, as seen on YouTube. Look at that. Whoa. There you go. So you get 4 of these bad boys for $3.50. And some comments have been made like, is this like Wonder Shells? Yeah, kinda. Is this like banquet plankton blocks? Yeah, kinda. Is this like things that add calcium to your aquarium? Yes, kind of. Is it kind of like a pressed form similar to like Equilibrium? Yes, kind of. What this does is it does a couple things. One, it itself is a lot of calcium. It's got, well, let me tell you exactly what it has. So it's got calcium sulfate, plankton spirulina algae, magnesium sulfate, dicalcium phosphate, niacin. Well, then it lists a bunch of vitamins that we put in all of the foods. So that's going to take too long to list, so I'm going to stop there. But you basically put in a block that if nothing touches it, it will dissolve slowly, and it could feed your plants. It could add calcium so it won't dissolve from your invertebrates. It can do that. It can also make the water harder for live bearers. Does that too. Then also, because it's got spirulina algae in it, if you look at like the reviews on the website, usually gets mobbed by snails and shrimp, in which case they're eating it, which is the calcium source they need as well. So it kind of does both modes, which is useful. And basically, with enough of these, you could choke a donkey. I mean, you can make your water hardness goes through the roof or not, or make your shells great or not. And that's, the original product of this was going to be called Easy GH for hardness. But I couldn't find a method that was foolproof that could be easy. It was like, well, you got to really know your water parameters and your hardness and how much water did you change versus how much you're putting in versus how much your plant's consuming. And so instead, I changed it to a food, basically, a consumable, if you will, and you add 1 shell per month after a water change, add 1 shell per month or after each water change, whichever comes first. But frequent use of them without changing water leads to a buildup of hardness. So you have to, kind of test your water and stuff. But that, when I put myself through that pace of like, just only do it when I change water and once a month, that became foolproof for me. There will always be outliers of you live on, like when you turn your tap water on, milk comes out. You got that much calcium, right? This product's not for you. But for most of us that need calcium, this is going to do that for us. And it's really easy to use. Land it anywhere in this giant range and you'll be fine. And so I think most people can understand that, because when I really read through how are people using calcium products, the answer was, I don't know, I put some in and then things maybe happen. It seems like it's helping. And I was like, all right, well, that's not scientific. Most people aren't going at this scientifically. They're going from like, hey, I did the thing, and when I remember to do it from time to time, it makes the thing better. And so that's how we are going to recommend using it, because I think that works. I have really hard water, over 301 hardness, which is not very much in my opinion. I have over 800, just as a point. Can I still use these as a food source, or is it too much hardness? Is it a bad thing? I still use them. In fact, I have, well, so try not to get too much into the weeds of the science here. I have over 800 ppm of hardness. The problem is I don't have calcium. And a lot of people just like, no, that's not how that works. Like, hardness test kits, they test for calcium and magnesium combined. So I likely have 780 out of 800 parts per million of magnesium or other crap, and not calcium, because if I don't add calcium, you can see it on the website. Those snails, that's from my tank. You can be like, wow, those snail shells are looking haggard. And it's because there's not enough calcium in my water, even though they get a small water change every single day, and the hardness is really hard. It is not full of calcium. And so, yeah, that's kind of a lesson in how do hardness test kits even work for the freshwater hobby. And that's why, like in the saltwater hobby, yes, you have hardness kits, but they level it up and they go, well, I'm going to test for magnesium and I'm going to test for calcium. And in a saltwater tank, you're usually going for 400 parts per million or more of just calcium. In the saltwater world, in the freshwater world, we don't go that crazy. And so they don't really make that kit for freshwater. It would work in freshwater, just no one owns it, right? We just go, yeah, hardness, it's a thing. And that's why most people, especially if you plan a tank, and, I don't know if most, a lot of people get benefits out of things like the Easy Shrimp and Snail, Wonder Shells, Plankton Banquet Blocks, Equilibrium. There's, I'm trying to think of other hardness, shrimp salts, all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of the same types of problems. So I'm sure mine are way harder, but your strips only go to 301. Depends on what version you have. What is this version? This is a prototype version. We did not launch this version. This prototype version goes up to 1,000. Let me see if on the website, what does our current ones go to? We work on this kind of stuff all the time behind the scenes. And you may have been like, I've been using these for 18 months. Like, yes, versions have come out in the last 18 months. We are continually taking in feedback, trying to optimize with manufacturers, going, how could we make that better for this person? Let's see what our current ones go up to. Our current ones, is this a current? Oh, can I zoom? Well, lucky for me. I've got some right over here. Let me grab it. Yes, these ones are currently 301. I don't know if these are the latest ones. Wait, I can read the directions. Hold on. These are the latest, because after 15 seconds, you're comparing the hardness where it used to be 1 minute. So these are the latest and greatest. But I have tested, so I don't know if you guys can see these ones. You see how it goes up to 425 and 1,000? The problem is those colors, if you look at those colors, it's real hard to tell the differences between those. But what you guys will have seen, when you test water, it'll go to that, like, I call it like a pinkish color. That's just way higher. So anything that's not on that chart usually is just way higher. But it's, yeah, we're working on it though. Well, if we can find a way that'll make sense, we will launch it. So, yeah. Let's see here. There's a lot more calcium, magnesium in salt water, easier to detect. It's hard to detect in small amounts in fresh water. Possible, but finicky. Yes. That is a very good statement as well. That is. Same with phosphates. Same with phosphates. Does anyone make a calcium test kit? Yeah, a lot, like Salifert probably does. Lots of saltwater companies do, but I don't know if they'll be in the range that you would want. Um, yeah. So by the way, like if you ever get results on any of our products, they're like, hey, that didn't do the thing it was supposed to do, read the directions. Because while we will tell people and it'll say it on the product description and the product itself, lots of people will just buy the new one of these and not read the directions and go, oh, wait, it actually says right here, after 15 seconds, compare the hardness, the KH, the pH, and the chlorine results. After 60 seconds, compare the nitrite to the chart. And by doing that, we get more accurate results. We're able to change the reagent pads a little bit to get more separation and more accuracy, but now you got to read it 2 times. Also, I need do I have it in here? Let's see. Feeling. No, not in this one. If you don't know, so many people don't know this. I see it all the time. If you don't know, you get a you get a laminated thing in here. So let me open this up. I'll open it up fresh for you guys. Wasn't meaning to talk about test strips today, but let me find it. Yeah, so you gotta feel around in there, oh, there's a bunch of test strips. Yes, but run your finger around the outside, and you're like, wait, what is this magical? Oh my gosh, you guys include a laminated chart? I've seen people that have cut it off the thing and are comparing it, but you get one of these inside. So many people don't know that. It even has an extra set of directions for you in case you didn't know. So that comes standard also that I watch so many people miss. And then if people don't know, I might as well finish this project here. If you don't know, you want to keep, where's that? You want to keep this packet right here. This desiccant absorbs moisture. What happens? You might have a little bit of wet fingers, your fish room might be moist, and air gets inside. Well, if you don't have this in there and you just close that bad boy up, the moisture that's in there is going to affect all the pads, and you won't get as accurate results. So, you don't use wet fingers, and you keep a desiccant pack in there. And now, if a little bit of humidity gets in there, it will absorb it. You'll get more accurate results. And don't forget, you get an extra one of these. So, there you go. Yeah, there you go, Jonathan. I didn't know about the chart. So cool. I just pulled mine out. And even though the second picture on the website shows it with a chart, I guess I should add a little arrow that's included inside or something. Yeah. So let me get that. I don't know how they put these in here when they do it, because, oh, I know. They put it in before the test strips. I'm like, it's impossible to get back in there. There we go. Ugh. Get in there. All right. Since I'm really just testing to make sure I have GH and KH and that the nitrates aren't high and not aiming for a specific number. Oh, wait. Oh, there's a second comment too. I love the test strips for how affordable they are and quick they are. I test more often. Yes, that's the goal. Okay. I always get in trouble here because I'm very passionate about this. I have tested the bejesus out of these. I have spent thousands of dollars at this point on meters and known lab grade solutions and all of this. And these, in my opinion, are the most accurate test strips on the market by far. Now you're going to go, he only said test strips, didn't say liquid kits. I also believe it to be, I haven't tested every kit on the planet, but from everything I've tested, they're more accurate than that. And it's not that liquid kits are inaccurate. Most people are inaccurate using them. They don't shake it long enough. They don't get uniform drops. They don't actually clean it. They actually don't do it. We sell these by the hundreds. So 200 test strips, this pack, we sell these by the hundreds, 100 packs at a time to cities' water supply that they use them out in the field. Because they test them and they're like, well, this is it's amazing. These quick tests are amazing. They're not going to be as accurate as a $10,000 meter, but I'm telling you. And they're not going to work for everybody's water. What does that mean, Corey? Like, you could have some crazy water. We have seen some anomalies out there where it's like, I can't explain what is in your water that is making this as a result turn a weird color, but they'll send them to us and we'll test our water and then it works fine. And it's like, well, we're not sure, but that's why we have over 1,000 reviews. We don't hide well, yeah, that's not true. We don't hide any bad reviews. We will hide swearing, racism, politics, incorrect reviews, as in, like, if you leave a review for a Diet Coke on these test strips, we don't show that. But there's 22 people that left 1 stars and 24 people that left 2 stars and 38 people that left 3 stars, 73 people that left 4 stars, and 959 that left 5 stars. So, there will always be weird anomalies out there, but I can say that for a very long time, everyone that had a problem, I was back in the lab again, basically, like, we got to figure it out. And sometimes we could never figure it out. Most of them, when we paid to ship them back to us, they just worked fine. Against lab-grade solutions, we've got videos on it. If you ask customer service, they like show you, like, here's a lab-grade solution, here's how it tests. So, but I think where I was going with all that, the biggest thing for me is that you test your water more often, and it's easier. So, like, if you watched the live stream yesterday with Benete of Shrimp Sanctuary, who's a professional shrimp judge and wins competitions, he uses the Aquarium Co-op test strips. He imports them himself into Singapore to use them on his hundreds of tanks every week because he can't get it done with liquid test kits. If these show something that he doesn't expect, he'll then break out the liquid kit to confirm it. But yeah, it's such a time savings. And there are some people that are, maybe are have more time or like testing, and they'll test, they'll spend 8 hours testing. Like, it would take me, hours and hours to do all my tanks here or the store, and maybe that's your jam, but that's not my jam. So I needed a faster product. Do the Aquarium Co-op test strips test for ammonia? Our ammonia strips do. One of our number one asked questions, why don't these? The reagent for the ammonia. So, one, this is a dip and swirl. The ammonia is in and out, 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 hold. It's a different reagent. The reagent, if it bleeds at all, will throw off all of these. And then if you do that move, the in and out, to this, all the colors will run and it'll ruin it. So, one of the biggest things I tried to incorporate can't be incorporated, because that's what Aquarium Co-op does, goes, why can't you do the logical thing? And then the other one we tried really hard to and can't get it done is iron. We want to test for iron on a test strip. Just did not find one that is accurate enough, that wasn't a horrible pain in the butt, and would go, like, they want to do 50 to 500 parts per million. We're like, no, we need like half a part per million. And so it narrowed our reagent choices down quite a bit, and it was not accurate. It was a real pain in the butt, let me tell you. It was just not good. And after, going down that rabbit hole for like 8 months, we're like, there's a reason no one else has done it, and I don't think there's a good way, and I'll wait till I stumble upon it at a show and be like, you've cracked the code, we're in, we want it. So, how do you care for mystery snail eggs? You could leave them up above the water where they have laid them. If you got a nice top over there, that'll keep it nice and humid. Sometimes you don't, though, or you want to hatch them artificially off to the side. And so, well, you could use something like this, which this is on the forum. This is actually a Corydora egg scraper that I use to collect Corydora eggs. You've got a flat side, and then you've got a rounded side in case they lay it in the corner where the silicone is. But you can get all the eggs that way, and then you could transfer them to a like a little Tupperware. And if you use paper towels like this right here, you get these paper towels, you get them wet, and you kind of place the eggs on here. And this is all just kind of, get it real wet, like wring it out so it's just damp. Place the eggs right here, kind of fold it over, and then put the lid on the Tupperware. And you kind of check that every day, let it breathe a little bit, and that's a good way to artificially raise mystery snails. and then have a boatload of these to feed with other foods once they hatch out. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about, brine shrimp eggs and where's your stuff, Corey? Because that's like we ran out of brine shrimp eggs and the world's coming to an end for a lot of people because they're going, oh my gosh, I should have got more. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about supply chain, if you will. So here's the timeline of events. Trump wins the presidency. Every manufacturer or business orders an insane amount instantly, going, tariffs are going up. I would like to get product before the tariffs go up. We don't know how much they're going to go up. You place orders. We did it. Everybody does it. And so because everybody did that, it slammed all the manufacturers. So that happens right, in November-ish, which we had already placed some orders and they've already come in. You've seen us get some new products. But all the other stuff is all in the pipeline with everybody else's stuff. And the ports are jammed up. So you remember Easy, Small Fish Feed, and the community pellets, they released 1 week apart. They were supposed to release a month apart. But because the port got jammed, they were within 1 week. So that was a 3-week delay. It was actually about a 6-week delay, but 3 week from release. So that was going on. And then what you have, so everyone places an order, and all the manufacturers going, I'll see what I can do. I'll try to get it done. Yep. And then meanwhile, the whole, a lot of countries do this, not just China, but a lot of countries take Chinese New Year off. And that is, let's find that. That is from, I looked it up here. That is January 29th until February 12th. And so they just got back into office this week. And looks like it's China, South Korea, North Korea, Singapore, and Cambodia at the minimum that all share that holiday. And so that's a solid 2 weeks that no production's happening at all, right? So now they're just getting back into office. They're answering all the emails. They're trying to finish up our productions and get them on a boat, basically. And that's where we're at right now. And so, Corey, where's, $50,000+ of brine shrimp eggs? Where's your $150,000 order of 1 pound bags of small fish feed and community pellets? Where's X amount? We have, again, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars we have paid for that are either, there's some that's on the water, there's some that is almost on the water, there is some that's still in production. All of those things are going on, and so they will be here as fast as possible. So it's not like a money thing. It's not like, hey, pay the bill, they'll ship it. We've already paid. It is literally like, make it as fast as possible, knowing that everybody else ordered, and then we'll hope that the docks and stuff aren't overwhelmed. That's the supply chain is just getting hammered right now. Everyone's trying to beat more and more tariffs. There's been a lot of talk about tariffs. We're not going to talk about the politics of it, but the business part of it is officially right now, tariffs from China for all the products that we do are now up to 35%. So at some point there will be I can't say for sure. Most likely there will be an increase in pricing a little bit. We already had to do a price increase this year. But we're going to hold that back and is down as much as we can because that's what we try and do. But know that 10% more won't raise retail price by 10% because that's not how it works. But something like brine shrimp eggs could be one that one might have to go up a tiny, it might be have to went up 50 cents a can. Like, dang it. Yeah. There's also in that whole story, there's the whole, you got to pay taxes on inventory, and you don't want all that inventory to hit right before the new year, because then you just pay lots of taxes and it bloats your numbers, which works out over the course of years. But in a microcosm, after just moving a warehouse, we don't have that kind of money laying around. Just be like, just do it. My Cinderdonis Petricola fry loved the Easy Magic food, but they're getting bigger now, and I'm thinking they need the next size up. Does the co-op have the in-between type pellet? For me, I've been taking everything from the Magic small fish feed to the Easy community pellet. Very, very similar ingredients. And the pellet's really small, but not small as the small fish feed. But I'm not sure, to get in between it, you'd have to go to like a grind. And with grinds, you get inconsistency, and I like consistency. So my advice would be buy the community pellet, which I have right here actually. Buy the community pellet right there. It's a very small. In fact, I forget that not everybody is using this every day of their life, because I only pretty much feed my foods now, because that's just where I'm at. Let me open this up and I'll show you like the pellet size we're talking about here. Ugh, world's strongest. So I can get my focus on my finger without just dropping it everywhere. Hide my face maybe. Come on, focus on, not my face. Come on. Why is it not doing it? Right there. That's my forehead. Yeah, there we go. That's a very small pellet. I should get bigger pellets from like a Hikari or something, to be like, oh wow, those are way smaller than that was. So, but that's the next logical size. We're going to keep adding to our lineup. The goal, right now we've got kind of fry covered with either live baby brine shrimp or small fish feed. The next step up, community pellet. And then we also have the Easy shrimp and snail food to handle snails and shrimp. We're working on a bottom feeder pellet next, or wafer, whatever that is. But our samples, again, like everything else, just been held up at this point. So I haven't even got to really start. Well, that's not true. I've gotten to start, but I don't have a working sample. So it's like, nope, those aren't good. I don't like those. Nope, I don't like those. Next version's coming though. So hopefully it'll be the one. Like, yeah, this is the one. Let's see. I poke holes in the world's strongest seal and make a shaker lid. Yep. Yeah, someone, I don't know who did that, it was on the forum or something like that, but that was a great idea. Yeah. I transfer my community pellet. I feed so much of it here. I transfer it into this jar that I can get my hand in. And I just, because like the 800 gallon, I have to take like a handful of this and dump it in. So, and it'll be good when I can open 1 pound instead of 4 ounces at a time. But, as a small business like we are, you buy $100,000 in food and you pray that everybody else's fish likes it like I do. And we didn't want to go straight 200,000. Be like, yeah, just bring on the 1 pounders. That'll be fine. And then it's not fine. Then we go to business. So we'd rather be hand to mouth, like, oh, it's gonna be close. It's gonna be close, which it will be close. Between running out, and luckily this run out would be like, oh, we're out for like a week or two and not months like the brine shrimp. So if we do run out, it'll be that way a little bit. Yeah, even these, like, we're selling hundreds of these a day. I did not expect that. So there's always like, what do we sell in comparable products? And then there's the co-op effect and our best guess. And we're usually not right. Like, oh, this is going to be a hit. And then it's like, oh, man, only I like that. And then there's like, yeah, I think it'll do all right. Oh, gosh, we way under-ordered. What have we done? Yeah, like the rubber bands, loving them, playing with them all the time. These green rubber bands, if you don't work at a fish store, tune out for a minute. But the goal with these is 2 fingers. You put this rubber band on, you've got it on your 2 fingers, and it's not super tight, just tight enough so that you can work the bag really quick as you're doing it, and you have the perfect rubber band for retail checkout or shipping fish or anything like that. Very, this product right here just does not make us money, won't make us famous, won't really move the needle. But anyone who has to use rubber bands 100 times a day and will develop calluses on their knuckles and all that kind of stuff, they will appreciate this rubber band. So my inner Corey appreciates this rubber band if I was in the store and using it. In fact, when I brought fish to my local, my local place, I use rubber bands like this. So, it's not game changing, but it is good. Denise, 2-month veteran of the club or the membership, donating 5 memberships. Thank you very, very much. Only 169 likes. Oh no, tap the like button. I watched your tour of Goliad Farms and ordered 4 males and 9 females of the red tail blue tuxedo variatus from Charles, and I now have a gazillion babies loving life. Yes, if you don't know, you can visit his place. I think it's in July for the ALA, ACA, and I think one other. So those 2 clubs are putting on a convention down in Texas, and one of the side trips is to go see his farm. That is, I will admit, is on my short list of like, ooh, maybe I go down. But then I also think, last time I was there, it was so hot in that greenhouse that my cameras couldn't stay on. The only thing we could continue to film with were things that we could put underwater. So phones and GoPros, out of water for 5 to 8 minutes, underwater for a couple minutes to cool them down because they would shut down from overheating. So just keep that in mind. Like, yes, it will be one of the coolest things you've ever seen. It will also be, while it's the coolest thing you've ever seen, it'll also be the hottest thing you've probably ever seen. The only time I've been hotter in my life was when I was in Israel in the desert and my retinas were burning because it was so hot and a little bit of breeze was going on. So just know, bring lots of fluids and try to go early in the morning. If they do more than one tour, as Charles said when we were there, he tries to end the day by noon. Start real early, end 11 to noon, be done, be out of there before the heat really gets crazy in there. But maybe they'll have lots of fans and stuff going this time and you won't die. But it'll be worth it if you did. Jesse Town donating a membership. Thank you, buddy. Let's see here. And don't forget, after all that sweating, you got to get back in a van with a bunch of other sweaty fish nerds and go back. But there's also some local collecting. So maybe they'll pair that up because Charles is great at collecting too. So maybe you go and have a near-death experience in Charles Clapsaddle's greenhouses and it's amazing. And then you drive a short way and get out into the water and collect your own fish and cool right down and have a great time. So I'm definitely going to put it up on the worth it list. But it might be one of those things like if you're going with the spouse, you stay in the hotel room that's air conditioned. I'm going to go visit a terrible place, but I'll be back. And it's probably best for both. Yeah, the heat, there is something. Charles is always sweating during his videos. Yeah, that guy's lived in that heat and doesn't have a lot of body fat or anything. And any video you watch, you will see it like seeing Jimmy, like even people that are real skinny, you're just like, you are like a faucet is coming off of you. And everyone just like, you know that sweat you get going where it's so hot, you have sweat like dripping into your eyes. You're like, oh, what is this? Is this real life? This is insane. Like if you ever had to be up in an attic or something working or just any of that where you start hitting 130 degrees and above. Yeah, but you're doing it for fun. So just know, I still would sign up and I would still go. If I'm going, I'm going. But just know that that's what you're signing up for. So. Or you could watch, someone else says, I'm going to watch the member talks now. Or you could watch him. He's spoken for us twice. And from the comfort of your own home and not have to wipe the sweat out of your eyes as you're learning from him. So there is that too. Or watch his channel. What's up, Matt3? How do I know how much I should feed my new guppies? This is my first tank. That's always a challenge. I would say if you can measure, test your water. I like to feed as much as they'll eat in 10 or 15 minutes. And people are going to be like, what? It's supposed to be 1 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. If you're really trying to raise stuff, they need to eat. And if you just put enough they'll eat in like a minute, you won't get many fry because they'll starve to death. And so, what I want is I want to feed some of like the magic small fish feed, and I'm going to feed some of the pellets, a community pellet in there for the adults. But after about 15 minutes, I want to see all the small fish feed kind of gone or mostly gone. That's my goal, is like, yeah, the guys that were too afraid, poke out, grab a nibble, and they kind of nibble on that, and then a minute later, grab a nibble, right? But if you just do the 1 minute up top, those guys starve to death. And then you're going like, yeah, I don't make many fry. Like, yeah, you don't have enough food. You literally just don't have enough food. The converse side of that is you're brand new in the hobby and you're just, Cookie Monster. I'm just giving them all the food. And then you're like, yeah, I don't know. I got ammonia and I've got some fungus going on and some other stuff. Like, that's not great. Yeah. So you got to balance that. But I like all the foods consumed, all the bottom dwellers, all the shrimp, all the stuff. All that has happened in by 15 minutes or so. Am I going to Aquashellas? Nothing scheduled. The only thing official so far, I am going to the Keystone Clash in Pennsylvania in, I think, September. I'm looking at the ALA/ACA convention. Looking at potentially, well, I haven't told any of my employees this, but potentially I want to go back to Peru or something this year. In the summer, I want to get out there and, get my hands wet. Not sure what else we're looking at yet, but we'll let you know when we know. Do I know why my angel fry might be dying just before becoming free swimming? I've tested the water and done a water change afterwards every time, but this has happened twice now. Thanks. So you're saying, so for people that don't know angels, basically they're going to lay the eggs. He's getting past that stage. They're not fungusing up. They've hatched out. Normally, the parents will then move them, and they've got this like little hook on their head. The babies do. They attach them and they kind of just like wiggle there and like with the hook. And you're saying they're dying in that stage before they become free swimming. Now, you might be new and you might not know about that stage, and maybe they're dying at eggs, in which case that's a different thing. But this is a great thing for a forum because I need to have back and forth, like, how are they going away? You see them laying there dying. You wake up the next morning, they're gone. A lot of times the parents will eat them because they're going to spawn again. Sometimes you'll get a predator that comes in and just eats them, like a snail or something like that. Shrimp could do it, or another aquarium fish. If they're purely just dying, like you've removed them from the parents already, they're in their own tank, there's nothing that can predate on them. Yeah, because usually they won't start taking their own food until they've gone mobile. So, but this could be something we'll talk to other breeders and myself, and we'll kind of run through these, take pictures. Sometimes like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. And we'll hopefully get to the bottom of that, because being that they're hatching out, usually they're okay. Do your new sponge filters keep the bubbles from popping and escaping, running down the side of the tank? Not a problem till I got new lids. Let me process that. So are you explaining, this comes from Leslie, are you explaining that a bubble pops at the top of the water, puts some spray on the lid, but then maybe your lid sits on the outside and it can like run down the outside of your tank? It will make the bubbles smaller and more uniform, but doesn't completely eliminate that. And in fact, you can't eliminate that even if you don't run an air stone, because mostly what will happen is humidity will create droplets and it'll find its way. You see this very commonly in, like, I bought a piece of acrylic and I laid it on top, or I tried to use saran wrap and I'm getting leaks, or any kind of DIY lid. And that's why lids are made to sit on the inside rim. Whether you have a rim tank or a rimless tank, you'll notice the rim or the top always is going to sit so that when condensation or any buildup happens, it will naturally come back into the tank. If it's something different, I might need a picture to go, okay, show me, or a video, show me what's going on. Oh, I understand what you're saying now. Radina Winsberry has been very patient. I've seen their comment pop up a few times, so I'd like to tackle it. All three of my 10-gallon, heavily planted tanks With a minimum amount of fish, test no nitrates, or no, sorry, no nitrites and no nitrates, API test strips. Doesn't seem right that all three tanks test the same. pH, GH, and KH are different. It could be that they're just eating all the food. So imagine that you have three houses on your neighborhood, and each house has three teenagers. And you prepare, each week you make 5 sandwiches. And you put them in the fridge, and you open the fridge to see, did they get eaten every Friday? And you go, oh my gosh, all the sandwiches got eaten on Friday. And every house is, you look at all 3 houses, no sandwiches, no sandwiches, no sandwiches. They've eaten all the sandwiches. That would be normal. That's probably what's going on in your aquariums. You put some fertilizer in there, they eat it all up, and you check on it, and there's none left. So what's the natural thing to do? Well, 3 people, 5 sandwiches, that's not a lot for a week. You're like, what if they needed 3 sandwiches each? That would be 21 sandwiches. So now we put 21 sandwiches in the fridge on Monday. And we're going to check on Friday. When we open it up, we go, we should have, there's 2 more days left, right? So they're eating 3 a day. Well, it's going to be more than 21 sandwiches, right? No, it'd be 21 sandwich. Brain not working. No, it's going to be 3 times 3, which is 9, times 7. 9 times 7, brain going slower, is not 72 minus, oh my gosh. 9 times 7, 56, right? 63. My gosh. 63 sandwiches go in the fridge on Monday. By Friday, when you're looking in, depending on the day, let's say it's late at night, you've got 2 days left. That would be 18 sandwiches left. Hey, they're going to eat all week and they're going to eat fine. That's what you want to see with your plants. You're putting enough fertilizer in that they're not running out, where you probably have a scenario right now where some food's going in, they eat it up, which if you don't know, plants eat basically the nitrogen, nitrite, nitrate, phosphates, other stuff. It all breaks down and then they eat that stuff. And so your test strip, which APIs, in my testing, they're not accurate test strips, but get a liquid kit or a different, like our test strips, or get a test by your local fish store, save yourself some money. But yeah, you're probably just running out of food is what's happening. And when you test it, you're just out. Yeah, not surprising, I would say. Jody given 10 memberships. Thank you, Jody. Sticking around for 6 months. I appreciate you. And Nancy Joe McCormick signing up. Welcome. I just got into scuba diving the first time, and I really went to the ocean, and it was freaking amazing. Yes, if you haven't seen it, you can dig around online on Facebook, but there is a group that goes to Lake Malawi, and you get to dive. I need to become dive certified and practice a ton before I go, or maybe I should just go and not film, but you guys will be sad, but I need to learn how to really film well and get the right equipment and the right lights for what I want to do to be able to bring you guys along for that journey. It's still on my bucket list to dive down and look at Malawian cichlids, because I love Malawian cichlids, even though I have a whole business built around planet tanks. I still love cichlids as well. And yeah, you could look at that trip. In my opinion, it's a steal. Very cheap. It's under $5,000 to go dive and look at Malawian cichlids with people that know exactly what they're doing. Sounds like an awesome trip. Jody P says, actually 9 months, but my thing is stuck on 6. Well, that's right. It only updates. It goes, 1, like new, and then 2, 3, 6, and then 12, I think is the next jump. Which, by the way, I asked YouTube about where's our 6-year icon, and before you know it, we're going to be on 7. And they told me, well, we've had a lot of turnover in the memberships team, so we can't put a timeline on when you'll get those. So we might just be one of those things where we're going to live at the 5-year mark for 5 years, and then maybe we just jump straight to 10, right? Who knows? But I did say, that's not really incentivizing people staying a member, I do know that we're way ahead of other creators, so that not enough people are having this problem yet, but it feels like a real bad cop out. Like one of the biggest companies in the world. Oh, I, well, we had 1.5 people working on that, and they've been out to lunch for 2 years. So that's kind of how it felt. Let's see here. I need more fish, which I would love. Yeah. So one way to get some kind of down and dirty fertilizer in your aquarium, more fish, more inverts, more food. You could just feed the fish you have. If I feed those guys twice as much, twice as many nutrients going in there. Now, won't always necessarily be the exact nutrient ratio you want, but it will keep things moving a bit. I'll be angry at YouTube in 10 months. That's right. I'm pretty much always irritated with YouTube at the moment. All social media. I must admit, I am really pulling back from a lot of social media. You guys, I've spoken about that. I put 5 hours in so far today on our forum, meaning making it better and making it what I think social media used to be, or at least the hobby groups used to be, whatever it is. Like, I don't want to be invaded by stuff I don't want to see. And it's not even just politics and stuff. I just don't need to know like what the latest fail army video is. I don't need to know what the latest like thing about the Oscars. Like I want information. I want the internet to work how I enjoyed the internet for so many years of my life. I sat down at a computer and I said, I would like to learn about this today. And then I would do it. And then I would go, ooh, I'm going to sign up for that newsletter, or I'm going to come back to this forum and I'm going to learn about that for the next year or whatever, right? And that's not how the internet works anymore. Now it's, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to find the thing I want. Ooh, that's an AI description. That's incorrect. I can't actually get to where I want to go. And then because I accidentally clicked on a link one time, it is going to shove that down my social media throat for the next 4 months. Even though I'm like, no, I'm still not interested. I promise you that was a misclick one time. I even go and I try to delete out of the history and like, I don't think you're serious. Or they'll be like, hey, Corey, you friended a new friend that you met and they like this thing. We're going to make you like that thing. And so I'm trying to lead by example here and go, you know what? I'm not enjoying that. I haven't completely abandoned our Facebook group, but I am spending less time there. I want to be surrounded by the things that I want to be surrounded by. And so if I want to geek out about gardening, I'm going to do that on a forum where it's only gardening and I don't have to get distracted by, did you see this new tool you could buy or this thing? And so I'm trying to create that place. All right, I think we have created that place for aquariums. There's a lot of room to go on that. And the problem with a forum or any place you hang out, it's only as good as the people that hang out there. And so it's like trying to start an aquarium club. One person can't do it. You can't be like, come over on the 4th Saturday of every month and we're a club. And then you hold it and you're like, it was just me. That doesn't make you a club. You got to go, okay, well, we had 3 people. That's a start. And then, a few months later, like, we're up to 9 people. Okay. And then hopefully after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, like, hey, 27 people showed up. Like, this is a thing now. And that's kind of what we're doing there is, and I call it the forum. I'm not even going to call it the forum. I'm going to rename it because if you're not an old internet nerd like me who had to pay, back in my day, I had to pay for the internet by the hour. Oh, yeah. They won't know what a forum is. That sounds weird. And so I'll probably just name it something like, hey, come join the aquarium chat or the message board or anything where a normal person or someone, young would be like, oh, that's where people go to talk about aquariums. Like, instead of like, I don't know, because there's always like, this isn't social media. It's not just automatically feeding it to me, so I don't like it. And we have to teach people like that's why you need to like it. Like You know, it's like teaching someone young the value of a day of hard work. Like, yeah, but that you feel proud when you're done, and they're like, yeah, but feeling proud doesn't buy the thing I want. Like, yeah, you get money too, but you'll realize someday you could do things just for money, or you could do things for money and be proud, or you could just do things to be proud. And so when you can do both, that's really good. And someday you'll understand that. And that's what we need to teach people is like, yeah, you could just be part of a aquarium community that really just wants to be a part of an aquarium community, and they're there to help, and they want to see, you know, will assassin snails take out planaria? Will rosy barbs and black ruby barbs and things actually eat algae? And what are people's experiences? And I will help test that, and I will do these things. That is a different mindset than a lot of social media right now is I've got a problem and I will just ask for help. I'll get my help and I'll leave. That's not the same thing. My wife, yeah. ASL. Yes, chat rooms were a thing for sure for me. Lots of Magic the Gathering chat rooms for sure. Super old school Magic. Maybe if you've been in Magic as long as I have, does anyone remember the dojo? That was like the first place you could find deck lists. I spent way too many days printing and just looking at decks on the dojo. And then I would go to my local card shop and get smashed because I was 12 and couldn't afford the cards that would really be in those decks. But still, great time. Again, had to go to a specific place, learn about Magic. It was the dojo. And there was no cross contamination. And maybe that's the best word I just came up with for social media. Social media's got way too much cross contamination right now. I want more purity of just like I just want to learn about the thing. I don't because I clicked on one aquarium thing, I don't need to learn about snakes and funny rabbit videos and other things. Like I just want to nerd out. And I totally get it. People on the forum are like, "Hey, I don't want to help noobs all day. Like, I want to nerd out about Dovi cichlids." And like, cool, let's build you a Central and South American forum. Who's going to champion it? You want to be a part? You want to make it good? Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. We had a co-op aim for a bit. Completely unrelated, I won't say where, how, but there are resources that have brought back the original AIM in its original form, if you're into that. Yeah, I've broken it down into two compartments. There is basically acquiring people. How do we get the people that want this thing that we're talking about to even get there? So that's one issue. And the other issue is how do we make it serve them best? The most people best, because you can't make everybody happy all the time. That's impossible. Otherwise, there'll never be one thing, right? So that's going to be multiple things. But I think if we keep those goals in mind, we're likely to get something fairly even close. That would be the hope. Has anyone else ran into this on the forum? I make a post from my phone, and the pictures always show up upside down. Yes, I believe I ran into this a long time ago on forums and things like that. I believe it has something to do with settings on the phone itself. And I don't think it should be happening anymore, but correct me if I'm wrong. iPhones had a problem where they had an up and a down. Or no, they didn't have up and down. Android phones did. Like, this is the top of the picture, the bottom of the picture. And forums and websites could utilize that data. And iPhones weren't including that. But I think that problem went away for majority of things. If it's still happening, like I upload with my phone all the time and don't have that problem at all. But if it is, let's look into it. Like, let's try to make the space as best we can. And it might be like, oh, your specific phone, or you had a setting you had to check, anything like that. So we're there to help you. You need to resize your picture, then it will come up the right side up. Yeah. But I could also set that on the back end of like all pictures will be this size, and maybe it just fixes the problem. Like, oh, there we go. I'm big on trying to remove barrier to entry. I don't want it to be a pain in the butt. And whenever something's a pain in the butt, you just don't do it. So I'm trying to remove as many barriers like that as possible. Let's see. What do I know about the albino marble haplo catfish? I know we've sold them. They operate just like other haplos. They get about this big. They got worse vision than a normal haplo catfish, but they're cute as heck. That's what I know. I signed back into the forum. It's been a while. Now what? Well, now you just read what other people are doing, or you contribute for yourself. Think of it like you've, joined a group, and, whether it's in real life or it's online, you basically go say, hey, I'm Corey. I've got a fish room full of stuff. I like guppies. I like shrimp a lot. And, I'm hoping to find other nerds to converse with. And then I find some other people. Maybe I follow them on there. Maybe I check out the forums that are dedicated to that kind of stuff, or the sections are dedicated to that kind of stuff. And, and hopefully you start enjoying it. Yeah, it's not really, it's a place you go to kind of kill time like you would social media. Like, oh, I want to be inspired maybe, or I want to learn, or I want to figure out how to breed this fish, or I have a problem. All those things could happen. This may be silly, but would you be open to making a video, if there's not one, on how to show using the forum? Yes, that is in the works, in the plan. I made a video today, in fact, on some of the features and posted it. There's a pinned post called the tutorial on how to use the forum. But yes, we are working on a lot of features, and I fully plan to make some videos and help resources for the people that, there are people that have grown up and have never known the internet outside of an app. We get people that apply to us like that, where it's like, oh, you've never used a mouse before. You literally don't know what this device is? Whoa. And so, we need to create the resource to remove the barriers of entry of like, oh, it's real easy. Not as easy if you never used a mouse or you've never used a website before and you're used to only using apps, but we can help you get there. I ordered one of those from my local fish store, and it turned out to be a mud cat. It's in our stock pond now. It's over 2 feet long. That's a surprise. Whoa, he's getting big. I was just gifted another free membership. I'm guessing this will be my last one, since it's only allowed one now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll admit I stopped using the forum because I started interacting with it more than my fish hobbies. Yeah, I mean, that you definitely want to get a healthy balance, and now there's features that you can pick what categories you kind of want to follow. So you can be, kind of like others. I keep comparing it to social media, which is kind of a bummer because everyone knows social media, but maybe it's like if you said, oh, I'm spending too much time talking fish, maybe you pick, and you were a part of 30 groups, maybe you pick your top 5 groups and you kind of unfollow the other 25, and you're like, hey, now I catch up on the things I care about in 20 minutes a day, and that's valuable to you, maybe. Or by all means, if it is an unhealthy relationship, do not do it. Like this is purely, one, I do it for business, right? But when I'm waiting, like, oh, I gotta wait, like, oh, we're waiting on a table at dinner, or you've got to look that 10 minutes of downtime. That's what social media is for me. That's oh, well, let me see what's going on. Oh, look at that, person got a new guppy. I gotta track those down. What if they're breeding them, right? Stuff like that. That's me. Wait, we only get one free membership now? That was my hypothesis for a long time, but then I saw someone get a second one. So I think YouTube has done something like 1 per 6 months or 1 per year or something like that. Because on smaller channels, what you could see is people would basically get unlimited free memberships, and there would be no incentive to sign up, and it was decentivizing that, which is technically bad for YouTube and bad for the creator. And so I could totally see them not wanting to incentivize that behavior. So I think putting a limit makes a lot of sense, and making sure that it gets spread around. Yeah. I always have Amanos in my tanks for algae control. Good one. I work for a doctor's office. New young employees don't know what a fax machine is. To be fair, I've had to use fax machines a decent amount in my life, and they have sucked the entire time. I have never had a fax machine where I'm like, well, this is a rewarding and good use of my time. It's always been like maddening anytime I've wanted to use one. And there's been times where, like, working at a fish store, they would only accept fax orders. It was still maddening because you'd be like, well, we sent it. And then I printed out the confirmation page, and they'd be like, well, we didn't get your order this week. Like, this is the worst system on the planet. I'm glad that it is losing favor. Or has lost favor, I guess. Not just losing, it's dang near dead. Every once in a while, I still have to, like, fax a thing for, like, some random business, and it's like, are you kidding me? I'm second guessing our business relationship now. Let's see here. Have you had talks with the Wet Spot or the World of Wet Pets in Portland to become an RPP? Yeah. I went to the World of Wet Pets, gave them a light, and I was driving by, so it was a quick stop, but they haven't inquired, and then the Wet Spot has not inquired either. So, yeah. Can you share your experience with my fly river turtle? I would say not the typical experience, as in they're not, like, they're living in planter tanks for me. They're only about this big so far, or the one I have. That's really the only experience I have. Like, they eat, they swim, they aren't eating plants as much as people say. It's a pain in the butt to get them to eat, like, grapes and banana and strawberry and that kind of stuff. They seem to love algae wafers. They sleep a lot during the day, more active when the lights, when it's, dark out. But fun fish, or fun aquatic animal, nearly impossible to get a legal one. Lots of people will own them, but I meet very few people that actually have paperwork. So, keep that in mind. Is like, just because you can get something doesn't mean you should. Like, if it doesn't come with paperwork, know that it has been smuggled at some point. There's very few people that have ever bred them in the world ever. And so the odds at which that's at your local fish store is very slim. It took me 15 years to get one that had paperwork. And there were 5 or 6 times along the way where, like, no, I got legal ones. And every time I was like, great, I will cut you the money the minute you can provide the paperwork and Fish and Wildlife says it's legit. And took 5 or 6 times before one was finally legit enough to pass that thing. And that even one time I was willing to pay up to $30,000 for one with paperwork, because I wanted one my whole fish keeping career. And magically they couldn't produce paperwork either, so I ended up buying them. When I did get mine, they were, I think, $2,750, and they had paperwork and they passed. It was great. Expensive animal, wanted it for a long time. Now it's at the store. Super cool to visit Elmer anytime you guys want. And mostly they're eating algae wafers. They'll eat other stuff, but it's just a pain in the butt, and it clouds the water so much. So, yes, Pets on Broadway does carry the Aquarium Co-op products down in Portland. That is true. Yeah. Let's see. By the way, mine, when I say paperwork, mine was bred in captivity. So it wasn't just like, oh, it had import paperwork. Because you can get paperwork. The other ways to get them are they get smuggled into the country. Someone gets caught, goes to jail with fines, that kind of stuff. Then they go to a zoo, and then the zoo goes, hey, we're not going to set up an exhibit for it. Gets issued paperwork, and then gets found a suitable home. Then sometimes after that gets sold. So that's like the other way that legally it happens outside of being bred. And there's so few breeders. They take 20 plus years to, like, mature. Giant breeding operations. So few have ever actually been done. So that's why, even with the connections and all you guys help me, we would get, emails every month like, hey, this person's selling them. We'd go like, well, see if they got paperwork. And then if they said, yeah, they got paperwork, then we would go, hey, you got paperwork? And they'd be like, well, we could, I'm like, no, I need legit. None of this stuff. I need legit. So, and we still do. Yeah, we probably still do get emails. There's a lot of videos out there because people always ask, what's your holy grail thing? And it was always fly river turtle, pig nose turtle, those turtles. Yeah. I still, I still consider bringing it home for me, but I'm like, he's doing well at the store and people love him. But I, I almost turned the 800 gallons. Like, I'll just bring him home. Screw it, my turtle. But yeah. Howdy, Ed's Fish Room. It would be super cool to have a members only live chat on the forum, but it would be take away from the searchable discussion. I've considered that. We're on a new forum software version, and a lot of the plugins and stuff aren't adapted to it yet. I do think there is a time and a place for chat, and then there's, like right now we're doing that kind of a lot. And then there's lots of like, hey, post a picture and we'll talk about that more. And so there's a feature called live topics that I'm going to start exploring here, where that would be like for the next 6 hours, this is a live thing, where, almost like a movie premiere or something. And we'll talk about it. That works a certain way, but there's a limit to how many of those you can do. And it still operates not quite like 100% in chat room. The other problem that we get with chat rooms are, you have to have moderators there, or you just get kids spamming swear words and trying to sell you guys stuff, and I'm a prince of Nigeria scams and all that kind of crap going on. And we don't want to create, like, that's, as you open up more and more of those things, you also invite more and more bad actors, and pretty soon, it's not that focus we're looking for. We're trying to, we don't want that cross-contamination of like, oh, well, if you have a live chat, I could spam it with my link to my crypto wallet and steal stuff, and, it's a PayPal scam or whatever. And so, yeah. Are brine shrimp eggs back in stock yet? They are not. When will they be? When they arrive. Probably about 2 months. And then you go, you said that last week. Then like, all right, 2 months minus 1 week. And then that'll happen. And you'll be like, hey, you said they'd arrive by now. And I go, yeah, the ports were blocked up. It'll be here in a week. And then it'll be a week. They're not here. I'll be like, yeah, trains were delayed. What do you want? I don't know. Let's see here. I missed it. What kind of fish were you speaking about? I was speaking on a fly river turtle. The only freshwater turtle that has flippers instead of feet. Yeah, kind of like a saltwater turtle. Do I have any peacock gudgeons for a 10-gallon tips? No, I hate that fish. They just always seem to be mean for me. Ask Candy. Candy loves peacock gudgeons. I say I hate them, and Candy says, but I have them. They make me breakfast every morning. They're so kind to me. And then I bring them into the store, and then we sell them, and then someone comes back, and they've got a bloody stump for an arm, and they're like, I got killed by that peacock gudgeon. And I'm like, yeah, I know, this is crazy, right? Let's see. If there's anything you could have done differently with the move to Kentucky, what would it be? I don't know. I mean, so much of it is like hindsight being 2020. Maybe be different if I moved again. But the things that we ran into, we couldn't have really known that were going to be a problem. It's okay. I could say for sure one thing. I didn't realize how much moving the warehouse would be a distraction to me personally. Like, we've got great team members, and they all had to work really hard, and there'd be constant things like, oh, I gotta help with this, I gotta help with this. And so our marketing efforts suffered, making videos suffered, lots of those parts suffered, which means we had the lowest month sales we've had in years during like the 3 months we moved that warehouse. And so that cost us hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that we're still recovering from, of like, ooh, we knew it'd be expensive to move. we didn't factor in the distraction from making money. And so it actually costs more than we anticipated going, oh, yeah, well, let's say we make, $800,000 in an April or something. And it's like we've done that for 5 years in a row. And then you go, ooh, April was 500,000. Like, what? Like, oh, I guess we did miss 2 video uploads. We didn't do any live streams. We did this, we did that. And we were all busy doing work things instead of answering like forum posts and social media and these things. And so, knowing that, like, okay, let's get a way better battle plan for that. Like knowing you don't know what's going to go wrong until it goes wrong, so be ready. Leslie donating 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Congrats to those who got them. Jose Davila, you've been around a long time, buddy. That's a name I recognize. Hardest thing about decisions is that you can never make them with complete information. Yeah. I routinely tell my teams all the time, like, we only know what we know. We should plan on there are things that we don't know yet. So, and that's, yeah. And we do operate that way. That's why it's like, ooh, we had some real rough months and stuff, and we're still here. But, so for instance, brine shrimp is a direct result of that. Had we made the extra hundreds of thousands of dollars, which you obviously have to buy the product and ship it, everything. So it's not just like, if we have 300K less in sales, that's not 300K we're missing. It's probably like 30K we're missing. Well, you do that 3 months in a row, that's 90K. That's 100,000 brine shrimp container that we would have ordered in September as opposed to December. That's the difference for us. Like, dang. And so now we get to live through it going, sorry guys, we don't have the brine shrimp. I know we made a mistake. It was a miscalculation on our end. Bummer. We'll learn from that. We'll do better next year. That's all we can do for everybody. So, why is it so hard to find female baddis like the tiger baddis, and we still want our pop coins? Oh no. There's been different theories I've heard throughout the years. One of them was that the importers or there's collectors and then there's like exporters and the importers. One theory I've heard is that the importers / exporters only want to buy the males and they're colorful, and it's 2-part. One, because that's what they say, and then 2, if you don't bring any females in, no one locally breeds them, and that keeps the commerce going there. The other one is that potentially there are sneaker females we're just not noticing. I don't know, but it does seem to be incredibly hard to get female baddis. Why are the super chats and sticker options gone? I do this periodically throughout the years. You can't super chat me or give a sticker because I don't like dealing with the people that get missed. That's what happens. So you get twofold thing happen. Some people say, you only answer people that give you money, Corey. How dare you? You used to be a real guy. Now you're the devil. And I go, oh no. And then there's the people that say, hey, I gave you $1. I demand 7 hours of your time. And that doesn't make sense. And they get angry and they post all over social media on how I'm an evil person. And then there's just the, oops, I literally didn't see it. You paid me $20. I feel super bad. I try and track you down. I like leave a comment. You guys don't get back. I'm like, oh, they probably just think I took their money and ran. And that genuinely makes me feel really bad. And so the easiest way for me to combat that is to go, hey, don't hand me your money, and I will try to deliver you a good show, and I will try to notice your comments, and whether you are a millionaire or you've got 60 cents in your pocket, you have the same chances to be seen on here. And honestly, if I was better marketing, I would have pivoted this way earlier. I would say, if you really want to talk to me, there is real open access on the forum currently. Like, you pretty much just at Corey, and I'm like, what's up? I'm just there. Now, there's going to come a point where way too many people are doing that all the time, and it's not just going to be like, there I am. But right now, there's not crazy amount of people there, so it's just like, yeah, what's up? Oh, I can answer that. So that's pretty effective right now. And so I would say, save your money, just go there and do it. Yeah. Will the tariffs ever get high enough to start having products made in the U.S., and would it be worth it to get stuff faster? Uh, yeah, there's always a chance. Like, I go into this almost every week, but most stuff literally cannot be made in America. That's the problem. So, like, do I have an auto feeder sitting here? Where'd it go? I had it right here. Take one of our auto feeders. There is not a single manufacturer in the United States that can make the chip that goes inside. We are now 9 years from that being a possibility, and they will go to cars and other expensive electronics first. So let's say the tariff was 500%. Auto feeders just would not exist in America anymore. Because if I go, this auto feeder is $1,000, you go, no, thank you. And then you go, well, how about you build them in America? And you go, how about for $5 billion, I can make the factory to do that? And then you go, great, do it. Cool, it takes 10 years to build that factory. So wait, I just can't have them for 10 years? Like, yep, that's how it would be. That's literally how it would be. Yeah. I paid $50 and no answer. If that's true, I am sorry for that. And reach out in an email or the forum and like post a screenshot, and I for sure will help you. But that is not my intention, and I don't wish that upon anybody. But yeah, so tariffs going really high. There's just we try. I promise you guys, we try every product to be made in America first. I try. And we waste about 6 months to a year, and we can't get it done, and then we move on. Now, these rubber bands, they're made in America. Our Easy Green, made in America. The bottles, not made in America. What else is made in America? Our dechlorinator, made in America. There's other stuff. Like our merch, assembled in America. Like, they get printed and all that, but shirts are made in other countries. Like, that's just the way it works. Because you guys want a $50 hoodie and not a $150 hoodie. Some of you, now there are 3 of you going, I'd pay $150, and I go, sweet. But it would cost us more for the design work than it would to only sell 3 hoodies. That doesn't make sense for us either. But yes, in a perfect world, if you said over the next 30 to 50 years, could it make sense that tariffs would lead to making aquarium products in the United States? I would say yes, that could be a thing if we focus on as a nation. But if you are into manufacturing and those types of things, know that it will take 10 years before anyone even consider it, because starting up a factory that costs billions of dollars makes no sense when tariffs could go away tomorrow, 4 years, 10 years, all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at. What's my favorite badass? My favorite badass? I don't like badass very much. If I had to pick one, I would say just a normal Scarlet Badass. They look pretty good, but every time I've really tried to keep them, like, these guys are real boring. Like, real boring to me. I would much rather have an Epistogramma or a Shell Dweller, or, to me, they're just like these little mini wannabe cichlids that are just like, you don't do anything. Kind of like Emerald Rasboras. They don't do anything. Yeah, the Emerald Dwarf Rasbora, where Celestial Pearl Daniels love them, but not those guys. Let's see here. What am I bulking up autos with? The best thing we do is we use actual algae on glass. So we intentionally grow it, and then when we bring autos in, we put them into the tank with the most amount of algae. That bulks them up a little bit. In the warehouse, we have evidence that they're eating on the easy shrimp and snail, and it's Randy's job to get pictures of that for us. But mostly they want to feed on algae, and you'll get some of them that'll feed on rapashi, and some will feed on zucchini, and some will feed, and some will feed, and some will feed. But there's no real wide adoption of what they eat really, really, really well. And so it's always been a struggle for everybody. I need more milk for my goldfish. How to? I'm not 100% sure on that. I know for egg production, more fatty foods. So get more fat in there. I would expect a well-rounded diet does that for the males as well. But usually the milk that you would harvest from koi and goldfish, it's enough for several female spawns. So Maybe you just you need to get a different fish, or maybe it's a dietary thing. When you watch videos of it being done, or you visit koi farms where they're doing it, yeah, usually it's, the water, like in a koi farm, the water will go milky from so much milt. So, should be enough. Can the new shrimp shells be used with Cardinia shrimp? It can, yes. Obviously in moderation, as in you still got to do some water changes and watch water parameters, but yeah, it's a good calcium source. What's my favorite nano fish? Well, I basically just put out my video on 12 favorite small fish. I don't know. I keep thinking about that. I'm like, I don't keep any nano fish, and I don't really know why, other than it's real hard to breed a lot of the nano fish. My short list right now is I really want to bring in some Celestial Pearl Danios and breed them. That's on my short list. Doesn't mean it's necessarily my absolute favorite, but that is the small fish that's most likely to enter my fish room. Although ahead of that, I think I'm setting up 6 specific shrimp tanks. So that's ahead. How's the pond? Cold. Lots of ice and snow on it. Haven't really been down there a whole lot because it's covered in snow. We did have geese down there yesterday, though. Let's see here. On the subject of boring fish, I wasn't sure how I'd like keeping cherry barbs because they were never that active at the store. Mine were shy for several weeks, but now they greet me. Yeah, cherry shrimps are great. Or not cherries. Cherry barbs are great. I love that fish, especially when you get the long fins. Something about the cherry barb long fin, like it's mostly tail. It just looks cool. Where other long fin fish, it's kind of like too much. For some reason, it's the right amount of long fin on the cherry barbs, or sometimes they call them the veil tail cherry barb, but just a long fin cherry barb. Yeah, it's a good fish. I like that fish a lot, actually. Am I familiar with a RoboCop pleco? No, they only get 1 inch, and they're not an auto. No, I do not know what a RoboCop pleco is. To me, like, I don't know that. Let me see if Google even knows. I hate when new stuff comes up and they're like, yeah, nobody knows what this is. RoboCop pleco, huh? RoboCop catfish. Yeah, it's in the I would bet my farm, which I don't own a farm. That's why I'm willing to bet it. That's an autosynclus. Let's be real. Like it's a sister species to, like whether it's a vampire auto or a bumblebee auto or yeah, so right here it says this person Aquatic Arts is selling it. Orange zebra, aka RoboCop autosynclus catfish, aka Nanotopoma species Peru orange. Yeah, these are all trade names, and if they got more popular, someone will do a taxonomy, and they'll do what they do with corridors. They'll break them down 42 different times, and we'll all basically just say like, yeah, they're autosynclus is what we'll do, because no one wants to, like, hobbyists have been burned too many times. And what I mean by that is crebensis have gone back and forth like 7 times since I've been in the hobby. Of like, no, they're Teniatus. No, just kidding, they're crebensis. No, they're pulchers. Just kidding, they're Teniatus. No, just kidding. And corridoras have been doing the same thing, kind of like, no, these ones are different ones. No, these are different ones. Now they're all different. Just kidding. Like, and it doesn't do anything for the hobby. For taxonomy and science nerds, it does help, yes. But when you're just like at a store and you're like, yeah, but I've always kept, do you have any Corridora stirbai? Oh no, sir, we only have Haplostoma stirbai. And it's like, yeah, Corridora stirbai. Oh no, sir, only Haplostoma stirbai. And you're just like, am I on TV right now? This is so stupid. You're like, yes, Haplostoma stirbai. Yes, do you have them? Yeah, right here, sir. I'm like, yeah, those are Corridoras. No, sir, they are not. Like, I don't know if I can give you my money. You are driving me insane. Let's see. Am I going to the home show in a couple weeks? I am. I was a judge for the home show, and so I will be there commenting on tanks and everything, and I help judge them all, so I will be there because I have to be. Well, and I want to be, and I have to be. Do you think it would be a good idea to attract new members to allow anyone to see the Scratch and Dent site, but only able to purchase if you're a new member? Or if you're a member? No. That would probably just lead to 100 people emailing each week going, I'm real cheap. Can you let me know when there is this product I want at 10% off? I like it just being a perk. And membership is great. I love all the things members does, like tight-knit community, a little bit of membership posts, you get a heads up, you get a discount at the store, you get the membership talks, all those things. I love all of that. But I don't want to like bribe people into it, and it's the wrong thing. Like, if anything, I want to tease you in with education, and then you join and you get financial benefits. If I dangle the carrot in front of people with financial benefits all the time, they will join but not care about the community. And I care about the community. The byproduct is money, and we have to have money, but it brings a different person. And those are the people I don't want. I don't want the people that only want the discount or only want the thing. Yeah. So I would much rather go, hey, look at this dope speaker we had, and they agreed to let you watch it for free. Wow, we've got 40 other talks just like this. And then you join, and then you go, wow, and I get a discount? That's great. Let's see. I caught 2 live streams in 3 weeks. Yeah, me too. Me too. Can a Zis Airstone plus one of the battery-powered air pumps in a 10-gallon cause too much flow? I see my Limia fry swimming against the current, but my Kuliloches seem to like to play in the bubbles. I think you'd be hard-pressed to create too much flow in that scenario. You can always dial it down, though, right? Of course, I don't have my air pump right here, but you could dial down the flow, just doot, 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 if you really cared. I don't think even at full blast, though, that it's too much flow, honestly. But, see in the tank, maybe. I could see like in a column or a hexagon tank where the bubbles travel a lot further. It could be, like a 10 gallons, a little bit longer, and you got like, oh, it's right here in the back. Like, yeah, they can go to the front if they're tired. In a column tank, it's like, well, you can't escape that flow. So maybe. Let's see. Can I talk about gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria? Not really, because I need like a whole Costco thing of tin foil to build the hat that I would put on. Because I'm convinced that we don't know anything about aquariums. And so all the time, every day, someone will email me and be like, Corey, the med trio that you recommend actually will not treat the diseases that you say it will. They are gram-negative, and this is treating gram-positive. And then I go, sweet, been doing it for 20 years. It works like clockwork. We do it 1,000 times a week, and it just works. Like, you can keep telling me it doesn't work, and I'm going to keep showing you how it does work. I am no brain scientist that can go, well, actually, and there's been different journals and stuff over the years. Like, at one point in the hobby, we were starting, like, there was research that said it was not 2 types of bacteria to convert ammonia to nitrite, and then another bacteria from nitrite to nitrate. Instead, it was only one bacteria doing both. And so I don't have enough time in my life to become the biologist needed to prove why gram-negative or gram-positive bacteria is reacting to maricin or maricin 2. I've only barely got the time to go, this is what I do. And then people go, but it shouldn't work. And I go, then don't do it. I don't care. I'm just telling you what I do and it works. If I cured ick every time within 4 minutes using chocolate milk, you can say all day long, like, yeah, but that shouldn't do it. But if it's what keeps my business alive, that's what I'm going to do. And so I can't really speak to it, though, because I don't know why in a book it'll say it shouldn't work, but in practice it is working. I don't have the knowledge to walk you from A to B. Instead, I can just go, yeah, my fish room knowledge says when I have a bacterial infection, I use Maricin and it works awesome. That's all I know. And so someone else might be able to, but usually they're like, oh, it shouldn't. And I hear you. I hear you that it shouldn't. Shouldn't and does two different things. That's why I just go, yeah, it's working for me. Since you guys don't make lights no more, what do you guys know about Twin Star and Weak Aqua? Not much really, if I'm being honest. I've never heard of Weak Aqua. Maybe that's a typo. Twin Star, I've never used them. I've got some Chihiro's lights that I'm using. I know a decent amount about Phoenix. I know a lot about Fluval lights. I know some about some of the different Higer and like Aquanites and that kind of stuff lights, but yeah, I haven't really surveyed the landscape, and so I don't have a great recommendation for people. Let's see here. Do we ship to Canada? We don't, but April's Aquarium does. So if you go to yourlocalfishstore.com, just type Google April's Aquariums. They ship all of our stuff throughout Canada, so that'll do for you. I don't know if that's true, Lefty O, but I could believe it. His statement says, well, science told us bumblebees can't fly, but they sure do a good imitation of it. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of that stuff where it's like, actually, like I remember one person getting super pissed because I said algae was basically a plant. And they're like, no, sir, it is a protist. How dare you mislead the public? And I go, in what tangible way in someone's fish room does that matter? And they never have a good argument. People watch you, you should know. And it's like, if we're holding me to that scrutiny, I should never open my mouth, because there's no way I can be an expert in one topic, let alone every topic that I ever get asked about. So for most people, yeah, it's like a plant. No, it's a protist. Sure, yeah, it's a protist. That's fine. Go to the protist forums and hang out there, and other people will hang out over here referencing common words that we understand. Yeah. I don't go out of my way to correct people if they want to use an old scientific name for a fish, or even if they just go like, hey, I bought a purple fish, it looks kind of like this. As long as we can get to like, oh, you bought a purple blood parrot, cool, I don't care, great. Let's teach you or get you to the point where you love it. That's all I care about. Let's see here. What's my favorite rock to scape with? I've got some elephant stone. I love it. I think over the years, my favorite is, I think, Ceru stone. That's the one I come, because it doesn't take a lot to make it look cool. Like, it just kind of looks cool. You just pay your money and there it is. So, I like it. Elephant stone's cool too, but you got to keep it clean. Why do you guys get rid of the pumps on the Easy Green? Is the cap better? Because people can't not break pump heads. That's really what it comes down to. It's yeah. I still haven't had a pump not work, and I've tried to break them. It also, pump heads were getting more expensive, but so squirting them, squirting the pump head is faster in smaller tanks, like up to 40 gallons. And then in stuff above 40, it's slower than dosing with the cap. So it's definitely like there's a give and take there for sure. But here's where I sold myself on it. One, it helps customer service a little bit. I like that. Two, I love having the extra caps to dose meds and other things I might buy that don't come with a pump head. So when doing dechlorinators and all that stuff, like I find myself grabbing either A, another brand's dosing thing, or B, our little mini measures. And I was like, we should just have these on our things. I think they're better. And so we launched it, and I use them all the time, and I love them. So that's how we got there. Is serious stone one of the ones you got to be careful not to hurt yourself with when escaping? I ask because I'm accident prone. I've never had that problem. I've never had any shards or anything like that. So I wouldn't have thought to say, hey, careful. Chicken bone stone's a little fragile, and I could see maybe something happening there, but yeah. Wish I could find some of the formed rocks like you have. We buy them that way. Someone makes them, as in they drill the rock and remove parts, and they look cool. So yeah, they're called fancy mountains, and I love them. Let's see. Yeah, I poured my Easy Green from a bottle with a pump to a bottle with a cap because the pump arrived broken, and that works fine. Good to hear. I like your dropper bulbs. The print is great. I use it for most of the fruits. Yeah, the little pipettes. Yeah. You ever going to bring the shot glass back? You mean this? It's for sale on the website. It's right here. It's on there. Go buy one. Go buy one right now. Been out walking the dog in the Seattle rain. Am I late for the show or just on time? Fashionably late, Dean. Fashionably late. What happened to all the products on the wall? Removed. Removed. I may or may not be making a video on where they all went. You'll have to wait and see. Yeah. I actually removed those before Zenzo got here, but we got bigger plans. We've been working. The best place to get aquarium decor, rocks, and sand? Depends who you ask. If you have a budget of like $11, your local rock yard. If you have a budget of $50, your local rock yard. If you have a budget of $100, maybe online or your local fish store. Just depends what you're looking for. Don't discount anything. Could be the side of the road. Could be Facebook Marketplace. Could be a garage sale. Could be your local fish store. Could be online. All those places are viable. Depends on what you're looking for and what you happen to stumble upon. What's the best plant to replicate a tree? I think Christmas moss. I always think it looks awesome. Let's see here. Awkward silence. I ordered from the Aquarium Co-op several times, and so far I've always gotten a different sticker. Is it just random chance, or do you guys keep track? It's random chance. We used to have it where I had a whole app that would add a sticker, but that created a huge bottleneck in the warehouse where every order had to go to like the same spot to pull these stickers. So now we just create random bins of stickers and we put them at the packer stations. So 1 out of 100 probably doesn't get a sticker, like, oops, someone forgot. But it saves so much time and energy and didn't put us out of business. And that's why we do it that way now. Yeah. So it used to be like you'd go all the way from like 1 to like 32, and then you would just get randoms. And then we just made it all random. So yeah, for most people, it works out just fine. Every once in a while, you get that rogue person where you're like, you've ordered 4 times and gotten the same 4 things. The odds of that. You should be buying lotto tickets. Like, that's crazy. I've gotten so many stickers except for the discus. That elusive discus one. Please see my above comment about blue-green algae in a 3-gallon unplanted betta tank. DS Cuber, huh? I'm not going to find it. It's usually better to repeat the actual question because I'm scrolling through hundreds of people going, where's DS Cuber? Not finding it. Bad content. Can't find it. You'll have to repeat it and hope I see it again, which that's always a crappy answer, but yeah. Yeah, I can't find it. I did my best. Aquarium Co-op dosing pump? Not yet. We've thought about it. I've tested some stuff. We had some cool stuff. We were testing one that had a built-in magnetic stir and everything, but it was going to be like $150 to sell it. And I'm like, I think this is too expensive, and it's too, like, I don't know. It didn't feel right. It's like, yeah, I want the price point to be like $50 or under. That's kind of what I want. Let's see here. How do you get brown hair algae with Ceru? Currently having this issue, but wasn't sure if these are connected. Oh no, you're asking, do I? No, I don't. I mean, new tanks, you can get that, but no, I don't think it's a sign of the Ceru stone. It's just a happen of like, that'll happen in tanks. You just got to fight your way through it. Let's see here. Yeah, Geek Boy, we actually used to have Peacock Gudgeon stickers, but they started eating all the other stickers and we had to get rid of them. So, you know how that goes. We need a Dean fish room update vid. I need to make a video of Dean just so he can address the public. Like, Dean should tell people, are you not very busy, Dean? Are you not down at the beach house frequently? Are you not always doing stuff and like you're working on changing up your fish room and doing all those? Because people act like I've just hidden Dean away, like, oh, I won't let him see the light of day. Like, nah, Dean's a busy dude, and if Dean's free, like I'll hang out with Dean every day. So he's just in demand. You know, he's a husband, he's a dad, he's got a dog, he's got a fish room, he's got a beach house. You know, it's the Dean. And there's other stuff you guys don't see. Like, we spent a whole weekend together touring everybody's fish rooms and judging them. Like, that was a whole weekend. So he's working with the club. He's got all this stuff going on. Dean's a popular dude. Aquarium Co-op not only is keeping aquariums fun, but is good for mental health and adds quality of life. All right, Gary. I'm into that. Dean holding up yesterday's newspaper while making a statement that he's safe, secure, and speaking of his own free will. That's right. Yeah. Plus, Dean goes and speaks at other clubs and stuff, too. So he gets around. Well, I'll be sure to wrangle Dean for our expansion opening when we get that. Hopefully like in a month or something. I don't know. We'll see. They're working on the fire expansion system tomorrow. They're starting this week. So that means the plan has been accepted. Now they can start work. Hopefully they do it right and it gets checked off, and then we're golden and we can actually like push forward. Yeah, I'm knocking on wood, as Candy would say. Is there anything that truly eats hair algae? Yes. In my experience, very hungry rosy barbs, young, very hungry Siamese algae eaters, hungry flagfish, and Pinocchio shrimp. Those are my ones that I truly know. It's been a minute. That tank's looking good. Yeah, I need there's some work I want to do on it, but I've got Ben O-chart coming this week, so I got to get some stuff ready and just make sure it looks good. And I'm not sure how many things I want to tear apart and do right before someone shows up. I have a bad habit of starting big projects right before someone's like, let me come film. There we go. Cleared my throat. Don't worry. My wife's already on the way. Don't need broth. I'm good. I've only got another 12 minutes. Thank you, though. Let's see. Looking to get started with koi fish, but got a 100-liter tank to start. There'll be enough for 4 koi. Will that be enough for 4 koi until they're like a year old? No. Well, no. 25 or 100 liters, about 25 gallons. Well, maybe. You'll stunt the growth. Will they physically live? Yes. If you have any aspirations of getting a 30-inch plus koi, the answer is no. Could you physically keep them alive and healthy for a year in there? Yes. With attention to detail, checking the water, changing water, yes, you could. Is it something I would take? No. If it was like, hey, I just need to be there for 3 months, like, okay. I'd buy the smallest ones you can get a hold of. You'll be a slave to that tank, and people that are slave to tanks don't enjoy them very much, I find. My rosy barbs hold out for the aquarium quap pellet instead of the algae now. Hold out longer. Just make them hold out longer. They'll eat it. Is there anything to eat Malaysian trumpet snails? The impossible dream. I'm working on that myself, Barbara. I'm not sure, but I'm starting my own testing. So I talked with Zenzo, and I've started Project Goat Tank. The greatest of all time. And I kind of want to find a different acronyms like greatest algae eaters of all time, greatest whatevers. My goal is to make a med trio version of algae trio. What animals in a pairing could work well as a quarantine for plants? And so I bought some rare coral moss and I bought some Physodon's moss. Spent $150 on moss. Nutty. I want to start up a shrimp tank. I want to make sure there's no competitors in it. I don't want any planaria. I want to have minimal algae. I don't want any bladderwort. Does anything bladderwort, by the way? Anyone got a bladderwort eater? I don't want Malaysian trumpet snails in there, which is snails. And so I'm creating like a gauntlet of like, here's a 10-gallon. So far, I'm trying this combo so far. I'll report back when I know more. I've got 1 reticulated hill stream loach. I have 3 dwarf chain loaches, hopefully on snail eradication. And I have 3 Siamese algae eaters. And I'm hoping those guys will work on most of it. And I'm still searching like what fish could I put in that might actually eat bladderwort. I've got some bladderwort in a tank. I just need to find a fish that I might actually think might eat it. And then I would add that to the mix. And the goal would be, like I've got a tank I'm looking at right now. It's got my dwarf platies in it. It's got duckweed. It's got Malaysian trumpet snails. It has planaria. Not really any algae though. If I wanted to take a plant from there and put it into a new tank that was like just shrimp only, which if it's not shrimp only, you can use these fish in the tank. I basically want to get it clean, like let it sit there for a month, then move that to the, I don't want to call it sterile, but like the tank that wouldn't have those things and have a reasonable chance of moving it over going, great, it's just my shrimp still. I need a group of spotted Congo puffers. They would be fun. There's no doubt about that. Do assassin snails attack Malaysian trumpet snails? At least they don't get out of control. I add them to a bunch of tanks. I think they eat some, but I still have them. So I think the problem I might have is I might have a literal 1,000 Malaysian trumpet snails, and I add 10 assassin snails, and the Malaysian trumpet snails can outbreed the assassin snails. I was reading this. Are the digital displays on the air systems in the expansion? What does that mean? Are the digital displays on the air system in the expansion? Are the digital displays... I don't know what that means, David. Let me think. Are the digital displays... Are the digital displays on the... I don't know what that means. You got to clarify more. I can't figure it out. I can't find Siamese algae eaters. Originally, I wanted to try flagfish, but we were out at the store. After having them, like, a billion of them for months, and Zenzo being like, yeah, those are rare. I'm like, we got to have like 100. We've been choking on those things. Sure enough, I go to get some. Like, we don't have any? Okay. Which is fine. It's fine. It's just... So do assassin snails actually eat planaria? Fish room science tells me yes. I don't know that I could say, how could I verify they've actually eradicated it, right? Like, what if I had 20 planaria, but I don't see them in a tank? So I would say in a fish room setting, adding a group of like 5 to 10 assassin snails into a tank, the planaria numbers get so reduced I don't see them anymore. Now, is that eradicated? I can't confirm that, but I could say like they definitely put a hurting on them, it seems like. Getting rid of bladder snails, get yourself some dwarf chain loaches. That's what I would do. Have I ever heard or have ever had my assassin snails go after my shrimp? Heard different things. I have, well, so part of the reason that I want to create a shrimp only tank. I want to feel what that feels like again. I've been breeding shrimp for so many years and I always make more, but like with assassin snails, for me, let's say I start the year and I have 100 shrimp, and at the end of the year I have 800 shrimp, and I've been selling them all year to the store. Even though I have assassin snails, I'm like, yeah, I make lots of shrimp, it's fine. But what if it would have been 8,000 shrimp if I didn't have assassin snails? That's the part I haven't A/B tested really to be like, well, I always make more, but what if they're eating a ton? I don't know. How many things have I 3D printed now? I can't remember how many months since you finally started 3D printing. A lot. On average, I print 3 to 5 things a day, every day, 4 months. I can show you, like, I haven't finished this project, but just stuff on my desk, right? I have this Corridora egg collector. Oh yeah, here's that foot that we're not producing. We're going to have weighted, but here's this that makes it so your easy feeder can just chill. Speaking of easy feeder, I have, these are all different replacement slides for the easy feeder. I'll show you kind of what it does. Show us, Corey. Let me take this one out. Get out of there. So I've taken out this clear piece that comes with ours one right now. And my goal is, let's make it so it can feed this small fish feed and smaller, tiny amounts of food better. And so someone else came with the idea, and I've been trying to refine it. Look at this one. This one's radically different, right? Oh, that one's longer and it's pointy. And so with this one, I'll show you the problem I'm solving for. Get in there. There we go. So the problem, oh, come on, get in there. So the problem I'm solving for is you can kind of only, open it up by like a click, right? And like we always use tape to cover part of it. Not an exact science. And people don't like hearing like, yeah, grab a piece of tape. It'll do it, but they don't like hearing that. So then you put in like, oh, what are some of these different ones you're trying, Corey? Put this bad boy in there. Now you've got this. You're like, oh, what is that? So now when you get a click down, oh, I gotta get closer here. Hide me. There we go. You see how like, oh, it's almost like the tape action. Like that's just a tiny little bit, right? But that wasn't perfect either. So then you've got, I just broke it. I broke it. Now I gotta print another one. Ugh. But let's look at like testing this one. It's a different model that we've been testing. So this one, as you see, it says step 1. It's got, you see how it's like notched instead of a triangle? See how that works? Oh, that might be better or worse. So we're testing that. And then like, well, what about other ideas, Corey? Like other things could do a thing. Yeah, you're totally right. Is this a better way to solve the problem? This one's got holes in it. This is all part of the testing that I've got to do and put them on tanks and test. So you see this one, right? This one could be different sized holes. That would be 3 holes, right? You've got all those options. And then you've got everything in between. So I literally have, right here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 different options. And the goal is, by the end of it, we've 3D printed the best option, and then now that just comes standard on our auto feeders when we ship them out. So, working on that project. Yeah, so 3D printing every day, basically. Basically, Yeah. Where do I post the G code to our prints? I don't. Other people do. They're on the forum. We have a 3D printing section and stuff like that. If other people make it, they'll share it. If it's something we're not going to produce, we'll share it. If it's something we're going to bring to market, typically we don't share it. So far, that's just been the for like because I'm working on some stuff with some people that like yeah we're going to produce that and sell it, and then there's like the rail slides for the aquariums. Those are light risers. Those are available. Oh, the water polisher that's available. Yeah, I'm working on all these little projects, playing with stuff, and kind of got a great little community going on over there. DS Cuber, I found it. I have a 3-gallon tank with a betta. I've always have an issue with blue-green algae and cyanobacteria. I gave up on keeping it planted because the blue-green algae smothers them. How do I get rid of blue-green algae once and for all? Increase your circulation and treat it with an antibiotic. That's the most likely culprit to solve your issues there, which 3-gallon, you might not be able to have a lot of flow because you're like, it's only 3 gallons and the betta doesn't want to get pushed around. And that might be a case. So it might be like upgrading, or maybe you got something in your water, but usually it's circulation. And then usually you have to kill it with an antibiotic. So you could use Maricin or you can use Slime Out. Either one usually will get it for you. Do I still have the business channel? I still have it, but I don't do anything over there. Why aren't there brushless air pumps? Probably a money thing, but I don't know. Maybe they're too power hungry or something. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Using a black cloth on the is using a black cloth on the back of my tank a good idea if I can't reach behind a paint? I've done that. The only time it's a little bit like, ooh, if you splash a bunch of water back there, it looks crappy for a couple days because you get it wet and it comes to the back of your glass. But it'll dry in a day or two and then it goes away. So kind of like if I hopped in the shower or in the pond or something, this would cling to your skin. But once it dries, it doesn't, right? Same thing would go on the back of your tank. If you get it wet, well, it's going to want to, once it dries out, it looks fine. So I had the 360-gallon tank, and yeah, we didn't paint it. And I was like, oh, I'll just hang some back there. Worked fine for years. So yeah, just know that if you slosh a bunch of water back there, you got a day or two of, that's going to dry. What's for dinner? I think it's like some ground chicken quesadillas, I think. You've got a brilliant mind for business. We could use your business knowledge. Maybe. What I say maybe is I'm just a 1-year-old dude who's trying his best and things are going okay. But am I good at it? Like that's why you see people write their books and stuff like once they've retired, because then you're like, I now have the proof that might justify this. You don't start with like, let me write a book about how to run 50 fish stores, even though I only own one. Like, you got to kind of prove it. And so, yeah, I like to think I'm decent at it, but I don't know, I wouldn't say brilliant or anything because I don't know that I can prove that. Where people ask if I'm in person, like, hey, you got a tip? I'm like, here's what I know. Here's what worked for me. Just because something works for me doesn't mean it's the right method. Like sometimes just right place, right time, a little bit of luck. Maybe half my business decisions wouldn't have worked had I not hired the right people. So there's a lot. I do believe there's a quote that I do believe in, and it's that like there is luck in business and all of that. But the quote that I think resonates with me that I've been reading about for a while now is, it seems like the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I think there's definitely some luck there, but also the harder you're trying, the more likely it's like, yeah, I was lucky. Like, yeah, it's real hard to get lucky if you don't try at all. You try a lot and often, more likely to get lucky. And I think there's been a lot of great thinkers and business people that, while yes, there is luck and there is hard work, it's real hard to know, does it all come together? And how much of each? And it's easy to let an ego like, well, it's 99% my own smart brain, zero luck. I make my own luck. And then there's, you can simplicity and be like, it's all luck. And that's not really truthful either of like, well, it ain't it's all luck. Because if it was all luck, there'd be thousands of just aquarium co-ops just having all luck worked, right? Like, so it's a mix and I have no idea. I have no idea what proportion is the correct proportion. So I can only go, here's what I would do. And hopefully it's going to work out for you. Because that's what I do in business every day. Here's what I'm going to do. And I sure hope it's going to work out. So. Let's see. My wife bought me gift cards for Christmas when I told her 2 or 3 lights were unavailable. Your team refunded me the light. I got a great honest company. Well, yeah, that we try to have the least amount of sad stories at the end of the week. Like, oh, that person's unhappy. Like, did we do everything we could to try and prevent that? Yeah, we did. All right, well, some people are going to be unhappy, but we try hard. Like that's a bummer scenario of like, they were in stock, you get the gift cards, you go to buy them, everybody else did too, and now they're out of stock. Like, that's a feels bad moment. Yeah, that feels bad. Let's try to do that. 41. Catch it. I was like, what am I catching you up on? Yeah, age-wise. Somehow we each get a year older, but I'm catching up. I think as you get older, the gap, like it doesn't seem as far. I think that's what happens. Let's see. What do I recommend breeding for profit? I almost thought about doing a video on what do I think are the movers and shakers of 2025, but I haven't made that video yet. I think disproportionately this year, African cichlids are a good move. Like, there's not a lot of buyers, but they're real easy to breed, and you kind of collect your $3 to $5-ish bucks each. Whereas, like, what do I want to say? African cichlids are looking more and more attractive as things get more and more expensive. And so, if I can get an African cichlid for $10, or I can get one Celestial Pearl Danio, it really seems like the African cichlid's a good deal. So I think there's something to be like, I'm probably a year too early, but I would not be shocked if in 3 to 5 years there's a huge resurgence in African cichlids. I think longfin rosy barbs are a good breed right now. I think longfin white clouds. I think all of the shrimps are a good one to be investing in. I'm trying to think what else. Most guppy strains are a good investment. Yeah. All what you enjoy trumps all of that, because you can almost sell any fish. So if you're really like, oh, but I love rainbow fish, like, do rainbow fish then. But those are the ones that if we're truly maximizing effort to money ratio, I'd be looking in that way. Can I make a video on the business channel about handling upset customers sometime? I've talked about it other times. It usually just pisses people off because they're like, oh, well, that's wrong, Corey. Like, I usually default to like, all we can do is try our hardest. That's all. Good customer service is that. Did you actually try your hardest, or did you just say you did? Like, did you back yourself into a corner so you couldn't help a customer? Are they backing you into a corner? What, how's that go? I would just say, try your hardest. Sometimes you can't make it right, by the way, and you just have to go like, yeah, there's no way I can make this right. Like, you're kind of in the wrong. You're upset. I'm upset. I'm better off moving to another customer and helping 5 more customers than this one, because you're not going to be happy with the answer I can give you, and I'm not going to be happy either, and that's a bummer situation. And to get to that point, usually it's like, you won't take A, B, or C? I don't think we're going to see eye to eye ever on this, so it's better we both move on. And that's usually where we fire a customer and we just say, hey, your ideals and our ideals aren't lining up. There's probably another business out there that will align with you better. You should be buying from them. And a lot of times we'll refund their order entirely and just be like, I don't want it to make it seem like I was trying to steal money from you, but I don't want to do business with you anymore. So find somebody else. And half the time, like, no, I don't want that. Like, well, you're making this real hard on us, and we don't want that. Maybe you were upset and you were yelling at our customer service, or, you were being unreasonable in your demands. Like, we're pretty down to earth, reasonable people. Let's have a nice, calm conversation. Some people, when they need to speak to the manager and they start at 11, it's like, we understand a plant froze on the way. Don't worry about it. We can send another one out 11 minutes from now. It's fine. But they're so used to fighting people that it's like, let's take a step here. We can get that done. Things go wrong. It'll be fine. DS Cuber, my 3-gallon tank setup is an Aquarium clip planted tank light, flue ball stratum, sandstone decor, adjustable 100-watt heater, and an Aquarium quiet flow filter, the modern one that has the adjustable flow. Yeah, I mean, I would think you're going to struggle having flue ball stratum with no plants and battling pH and all that, and only being 3 gallons. That's just my guess. No one wants to hear this, DS Cuber. For the amount of struggles you're having, I would say if you could move from that 3-gallon to a normal 10-gallon, bring all the equipment with you, you'll probably be like, I'm just not having the same problems I was having. It usually gets easier with more water. So, can hatcherfish be bred in captivity? I don't know. I haven't really seen many people doing it, but I assume it could be. I don't know, though. Let's see. Yeah, I would generally have to be wronged by a business before I say anything. I would rather have it corrected. If not, then I just move on. I'm in the worst spot now. I was telling Zenzo and my wife this, because I don't want to be seen as a bully. I'm not going to name them, but I have African cichlids that I ordered, where I ordered a group of 1 to 2 males and 4 females. And unfortunately, the males came in dead. Opened them up right away. They're both dead. I sent an email, and the company said, well, owner's been in the hospital. Now they're getting better. They're going to reship. And so I said, hey, I'm a small business too. I could order another group of fish. So you don't have to just eat this. Like, you just add it on. And they said, nope, we're just going to reship the 1 fish. And already I was like, okay. I mean, I am getting less for my money, but I understand. Instead of getting 6 fish, I'll end up with 5. So I'm like, okay. They ship that fish. It arrives dead. Within 5 minutes of opening it, after it arrived at my house, I took pictures and everything. I sent them an email. They've now been ghosting me. I send them an email every week, and I've also sent messages on their Facebook. They have ghosted me for 5 weeks. And so now I can't really do anything about it, because if I do a credit card chargeback, that'll make me look terrible. If I call them out, it'll make me look like I'm punching down on the little guy. That'll be terrible. So it's a no-win situation of I guess I just won't have a breeding group. I'm stuck with 4 females that are silver and don't do anything. Bummer. Then I had that happen with shrimp. I ordered some koi shrimp, and they got lost in the mail. It's now been 4 weeks, and they haven't reshipped. And they said, well, you have to contact your postal office, and you have to have them track them down. And when you can get them to produce a statement, we will reship. And I just said, I don't have time to do that. And that seems bad for me. And so I still haven't done it, where I'm going to call and sit on hold for 45 minutes to be like, can you look? Oh, yeah, you have no idea where it is? Yeah, I know. It's been a month. Of course you don't know where it is. Duh. So I have that, or I'm like, okay, same situation. And then I think I have one more situation. What's the other situation? Maybe it's just those 2. Might just be those 2. But it's a bummer, because I can't do a chargeback. I can't leave them bad public feedback, because if I come out and I say, XYZ company did me wrong, fans will hate on them. They'll lose way too much money, and I don't want that. I just want them to do the right thing, is what I want. And I know we would like, as far as I'm concerned, when you order from us, it is our job to get it to your porch without it being broken, with it being alive. There's a reason we don't ship fish. And when UPS or USPS loses the package for a month, we go, hey, can you check with your neighbors? Like, hey, all right, they don't have it. We're reshipping it. We'll wait a little bit. If it's not live, we'll wait like a week and go like, let's see if it'll show up. All right, didn't show up. We're reshipping it. And it's just a bummer that like, all right, I've got no recourse here that doesn't make us look bad or hurts you too disproportionately. I just need you to do the right thing. That's all I really need. But I also don't tell them like, do you know who I am? I'm just Corey McElroy. I don't do anything like that. I just, all right. And you guys usually hear it years down the road when it's like, hey, would you buy from XYZ? Yeah, I don't know about that. I do support these ones though. And that's how I get there of like, yeah. And that's also why I don't allow reviews and stuff like that of other companies on our forum and that kind of thing, because I don't want to have to lie to you guys. So when I feel real bad when I'm looking going, they're recommending this company. I know they've done me dirty and all these other people dirty. But if I come out publicly, I could get stuck in like a legal battle or something else. So it's easier to be like, we don't talk about other companies. And some people will fault me for saying, you could prevent that. And I'm like, I could, but it's also disproportionately, we'll look bad doing that. And there's a lot of people love ordering from. And I'm like, if you knew, it wouldn't be good. So, yeah. As far as the carrier is concerned, the shipper is the customer. The shipper is, yeah. Well, that's what I said. They said, you can call them and ask. And I said, no, you can. And that's my thing is, when I spent $100 and some for these shrimp, I didn't say, oh, I'm going to do all this extra work. I pay the $100 and then I expect shrimp to be on my doorstep. That's what I signed up for. That seems, I think that's what, and then way down in their terms of service, they say that like, oh, it says here, you might have to get to get any kind of claim, you have to get them to issue a claim. And I'm like, being someone who ships 10,000 plus packages every month, it's like, I know what that takes. It is nearly impossible with USPS. Like, they delay for months. So we don't even claim them. That's what, we don't even work with them anymore. But let's say this got lost in the mail. They're going to go, well, we're going to look into that for you. We'll get back to you. And a month later, they'll go, still looking into it. And a month later, still looking into it. After like 3 months, they might close it down. And then they'll say, we didn't find that we did anything wrong. And you're like, yeah, but the customer didn't get it. You'd have to open up an inquiry about that. I don't know. And so when you default to that mode, you're basically telling your customer, have USPS handle it, and maybe in a year, we'll do something about it. And that is a terrible customer service experience. I have a surplus of red root floaters. I sell them, we'll buy them. I think typo got you there, but find, your local club, find a local store, that kind of stuff, and, try to move them that way. I ordered from April's Aquarium. My package got delivered to the wrong house. April's Aquarium called the Postal Service. They said they would ultimately replace it if it wasn't found. They were excellent. Yeah, that's basically the standard we hold our partners to. Unfortunately, it looks like Aquahuna has had some more problems lately that we would be going, that's not okay, but we don't work with them anymore. And so we still order from them every week, by the way, for our retail store. So I don't want it to be like, oh, they the bad man. But every company's got different standards, and it's like, watch them slip a little bit. I feel like because we would sometimes we have to get involved. Sometimes companies are like, you're going to make this right. Like, we cannot work with you if you don't make this right. I'm willing to pay for it. We do that with stores. We try to make it as easy as possible. You need to make this right. We will give you the new product. It's not about that. It's about doing the right thing, maintaining reputation for everybody involved. Treat the customer how you want to be treated. Sometimes you got to treat them better than you've been treated. That's fine. It is what it is. Let's protect everybody's reputation. Let's make everybody happy here. There's a way to win. Let's do it. I sold my red root floaters on Facebook Marketplace a couple years ago and it went pretty well. Made like $200 off one tank in a couple months. Well, there you go. Yeah. Let's see. I'm doing a dry start with some Amazon swords. I'm curious how long you think my soil will last till the Amazon sword exhausts the soil. 1 inch of dirt and 1 inch of sand. My guess is 5 years. I don't recommend that dry start method, but that's like of all the plants to dry start, Amazon sword is not the one because it's going to melt back so hard and they grow so fast anyway that normally you do it for like a carpeting plant. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just wasting time. The faster I put water, the faster I get a submerged grown Amazon sword that'll get giant and out of control anyway. So that's just my own take. Does Corey's shirt have a scale pattern? Yes, it does. It's my fish scale shirt. I own like 3 or 4 of them now because I love it. It's lightweight and it's got fish scales. UPS hasn't ever let me down. FedEx lost $120 worth of pea puffers. I did get refunded fast, so that was lucky. Yeah, for the most part, in aggregate, like when you're shipping 10 to 15,000 things a month, all the services are pretty darn good, if we're being honest. Like, oh yeah, each one has like less than a 1% failure rate. Like, that's amazing. But for the 1%, it's like, yeah, help us out here. UPS is definitely easier to deal with. Not easy, but easier than USPS. They also cost more, and there's some other things about it, but, you know, you just gotta, just like we negotiate private contracts and all that kind of stuff. When you're shipping 15,000 packages a month, and it's millions of dollars, they also can't afford to be like, oh, we've made them angry, and they switch. Like, that's what happened with USPS, and we went to UPS. And so that's what we do with you guys. It's like, well, we don't want them to be angry. We want them to keep buying. Every customer, I hope you buy from us this month, next year, for the next 20 years. If you're in the hobby, we hope you're buying from us. If we can keep that up, that wins long term. So even though it's a crazy scenario that thing got stolen off your porch, let's make it right. If they keep buying from us for the next 20 years, we've made money and we're happy. You know, I can tell you one thing for sure. If your package got stolen, we don't make it right, you'll charge back, we'll lose money, which when you charge back, the company loses more money because like there's a fee with that. And then you'll tell everybody, you know, hey, they stole from me. I had to do so much and that'll hurt us. And there's no chance we make money from you. So the only path forward for 98% of all transactions is make it right. That's the way in which you can make money. You pretty much cannot make money by doing the wrong thing. You do that, you're just losing money no matter how you look at it. So, yeah. Have I considered creating a Central and South American tank? I know you have African cichlids, but I was curious if you'd make one sometime. I've done it from time to time, but Central and South American cichlids don't appeal to me as much. They're just more boisterous and bruiser types that I'm not as much into. I like my tanks to be laid back, and I like plants. It's kind of like to chill. So, all right, I've run about 23 minutes long. I've got work I should be doing. I want to work on the forum. I got dinner eventually. I fed my fish, so I'm good there. Yeah, I want to close up a few things here in the fish room before I head out. So thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you next week probably. I'll schedule that. If you haven't, consider coming over and joining the forum. Have a discussion with us, and we'll have some fun. If not, I'll see you next week. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Any of those will work. Until then, compliment somebody. Enjoy your tanks. Keep warm. It's been cold. And buy all of our stuff. That'd be helpful. Real helpful if you buy all our things. It makes it so we can order more things and sell more things. Works out just fine. So have a good one, everybody. We'll see you around.